Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahushai Ba'Shem, Kakodash. I also want to give double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to those full elect, hearing this word in truth and in sincerity. Okay, I'm the brother Iwalum. I'm James West Palm Beach Camp, back with another lesson. Pretty much this one being, that maketh a man an offender for a word. Just watching a lesson done by the Ashwamba, pretty much going into how Esau Edom, what was the point he made in his lesson dealing with how they're about to do away with, free speech. They're using this whole CK incident to pretty much clamp down on what people are saying, because when you look at it, since this guy's assassination, nothing but more strictness have came from the quote unquote government or the social media police, because what they've been doing was, a lot of people that's been celebrating this guy's death, they've been canceling them, coming down hard upon them, and really, that's a prelude to what they want to do concerning this word. This is the devil that we're talking about, and as a serpent, they move gradually, to pretty much get to what they need to do, So as we can see, Esau Edom slowly, creeping up on, demonizing this word, because he's been exposed. All right, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai used his men, his prophets, to expose this man, from what he's been doing, So now he got to come up with some kind of, lie or some kind of accusation to remove the word of the Lord from the internet, man, from the public. And it's nothing of his doing, It's nothing that Esau Edom, can snap a finger and say, all right, it's over. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai is the one in control of, when this word stops going out, because it's written of in the book of Amos, the 8th chapter, in the 11th verse, where it says that the Lord is going to send a famine of the word, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but a hearing the word of the Lord. Okay, so this is the book of Isaiah chapter 29 and verse 20, and it says, "For the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off." Right, the terrible one is brought to naught. All right, the terrible one is Esau, man. Because we understand his purpose was to be the wicked. All right, and he's doing exactly that, being the wicked. Everything that Esau Edom touches, is chaos, man. You see? He says, verse 21, "That make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught." You see, so that's what they're doing. And even those that are not, in this truth, and as I made earlier, the people on social media, who has opinions on this guy CK's assassination, and the opinion may not be, offensive, so to speak. They just speak in their mind. Don't know how the guy was before he was killed, right? They're just speaking their mind on their experience with him, when he was alive. Well, guess what? They're canceling you on social media for that. I remember I saw somewhere Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, his daughter, she said something to the effect of, well, if you wanted people to say nice things about you, all right, you should have said nice things when you were alive, and truth be told, that wasn't even a harsh thing that she said. You know, she didn't make mockery of the man. She didn't say nothing, out of place. Because the dude may have, had his mouth probably may have had been loose, but when the truth comes out, and she said the truth, concerning that guy. She was speaking facts, but she's getting backlash for what she said. But that just goes to show you that in this society, you're made an offense, for shit, for things that you say. But we can clearly see that this is creeping down on the men of the Lord, and that's what Esau Edom is trying to do. We can see it from miles away, man. We got the vision like an owl. Eagle's vision, Salakia. Okay. Let's go to the book of Isaiah chapter 10. Isaiah 10 and verse 1, and it says, "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed." Because Esau Edom, before this guy was assassinated, you best believe he already had the plan in the books, alright, to do things like that. Alright, to prescribe means to write before, so they already had these laws written before all these things came to pass, man. And they capitalizing off of this like a motherfucker, man. Capitalizing off of CK's death. It's a big agenda at hand. Alright, well, how do they saying go? Their saying goes, never let a good crisis go to waste. Everybody's divided. Everybody's fighting. Everybody's broke. Everybody's tired. So it's like, Esau Edom got these people in his grip. Order Abkeo, order out of chaos. So they're gonna bring about their new system or their solution pretty soon, because people are gonna be tired. But when it's all said and done, they're gonna beg for it. Alright, this is the devil that we're talking about. Salakia, man. Let's go to 2nd Esdras. I remember brothers read 2nd Esdras 15 in the NLT. The NLT is hard. When you read in that translation. 2nd Esdras 16 over it. Yeah, this is it right here. It's like 16. 2nd Esdras 16 and verse 17. And it says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? Esdras is talking about the days that we're in right now. Alright, in the heavier times that we're approaching to. Who will deliver me in those days, man? Because it's going to get real bad out here. Jacob's trouble is like literally around the corner. And that brings to mind, it was a video that brothers are doing lessons on concerning a Jake that had a dream, pretty much going into how, women were pretty much throwing themselves at men out of fear, man, out of desperation. And I don't mean to go off topic with the lesson, because we're still like that maketh a man an offender for a word. I thought I'd make this point real quick. And it said, he was saying how, women were throwing themselves at men, because of the times that, they were in, we were in, So that was Isaiah 4:1 right there. But the point being is that it's gonna get so bad. What a pride you see women are in right now, they're gonna be throwing themselves at men, to pretty much protect themselves, man. But a lot of them will be rejected, as the guy said in the video. It says, verse 18, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Right? Because when that time comes, everybody is going to be, in fear. The elite, because Yahweh Shai is sending forth that judgment. See, Esau Edom, he thinks he's still in power, right? He thinks he's in power. He thinks that, you're just going to attack the men of the Lord, attack the word, and then just flee into your bunkers. No, man. The Edomite judgment is coming. That's why Scripture says to don't fear him who is able to destroy body, but fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. All right, because Esau, Edom, they're even going to run away when, the Lord makes his presence known. So when he demonizes the word, to hell with this devil. Because he's going into captivity next. Fucking devil, man. It says, verse 19, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things, they shall not turn away from their turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourge. And this is gonna change. All right, the dynamic of the world, so to speak, because a famine gonna humble people, man. And of course, you're gonna have those that use this as an opportunity to be even more wicked, because during a famine, people are gonna be robbing, looting, eating each other. So, man, Shalaki, I'm keep yawning. But even for these things, they're not going to turn away from their wickedness. So the wickedness is going to stop ultimately when the missiles hit Babylon the Great. So, that's pretty much the point. I was just thinking about it through the spirit of how, this guy's death, it's pretty much, gave them the opportunity, all right, because they never let a good crisis go to waste. This guy's death pretty much gave them the opportunity to pretty much come after free speech, and if I'm not mistaken, free speech, that's part of the Constitution, man. So Esau Edom was breaking his own agreement that he made with the people, all right, his own laws. You see, and they do it by mischief. All right, they do PSYOPs, right? And then they bring in the law behind it. Such as, for example, let me give you an example, right? They'll talk about gun violence, shit, this and that and the other, and then right after that, magically a freaking shooting happens, man. Right after they get done talking about the gun violence. That show you that these devils are crafty, and that's why the Scripture says, at least 2 Corinthians 2:11, at least the saint should get an advantage of his. We're not ignorant of his devices, man. Because this devil is cunning. He's crafty. See? So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash, and double honor to the apostles and the elders of a great millstone, and peace and blessings to those for elect, learn this word in truth and in sincerity. Until next time, I say shalom.